Today we're looking at the Salomanda bubblegum playing cards. Thank you to Salomanda Playing Cards for sending this to me. If you want to check out these cards and you want to buy them for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description below. But without any further ado, let's get into this review right now. Now the front of the tuck box is going to be done in yellow with black outlines saying bubblegum playing cards in red in the center. It's going to have a bubblegum machine and a piece of bubblegum with the wrapper on it. And around the right side, you're going to see a wraparound with a popped bubblegum bubble. It's going to be done in purple on that side, which is going to transition it to the back of it, which is going to be a pretty good representation of the actual back design. The other side is going to be done in this purple without the popped bubblegum. The top is done in only yellow, and the bottom is done in yellow saying Salomanda Playing Cards Bubblegum Edition, manufactured by the USPCC, and the address. So if you open up the inside tuck flap, you're going to see that the large tuck flap is done in pink, and the two smaller tongue flaps are done in the same purple as the sides. Now that's all I can say for the tuck box, so let's get inside it and look at the cards. This back design is absolutely gorgeous. From the medium white border to a thin black border, almost even a dark purple. To the inside of that you have the yellow and red and purple, a little bit of a lighter purple than that thin border, but you have, that's your bubblegum piece with the pink and white polka dots all around. Now first, when it comes to the number cards, you're going to have all of the reds now be pink, just like the bubblegum, and all of the blacks are now that deep purple. Love how they customized that just slightly, make everything more personal. Your three aces are going to be the same as the number cards, but now let's get on to the court cards, which is probably my favorite part of this deck, excluding the gaff cards. Everyone has to do something with bubblegum. So the hearts, you have the King of Hearts holding a piece of bubblegum, which is quite large for his hands. I'm almost impressed. The Queen of Hearts has a popped bubblegum. The Jack of Hearts is blowing bubblegum. Looks like he's sticking out his tongue with wrapped in bubblegum. You'll see that the King of Clubs has the bubblegum dripping down his sword. Queen of Clubs, she is blowing a bubble. The Jack of Clubs has a piece of bubblegum hidden behind his head. The Jack of Diamonds has some and he's chewing it. The Queen of Diamonds is spitting out the gum. The King of Diamonds has a bubblegum piece in his hand. The Jack of Spades has a bubblegum lollipop, it looks like. The Queen of Spades has a massive piece of bubblegum that she's unwrapping. And then the King of Spades has it popping at the end of his sword. And all of this is done in the same purple, yellow, and pink, getting rid of the normal blue, red. And then for your Ace of Spades, before we get on to the last four cards, this one has a popped bubble, but this time the inside has a cutout of the spade pip. Not enlarged in any way, just absolutely gorgeous. Now let's get on to the four-ed cards. Now the jokers are done in a really fun bubblegum machine, just like you see on the front of the tuck box. At the bottom you have the red, yellow, purple, pink, black, and almost lavender color that you have in the full design of this deck. So those are the colors they used. And then on the one, there's a quarter in it, and on the other one there is not. But that's because the quarter went in and the thing that came out is the Three of Spades. So you get a fun Three of Spades reveal on the second joker. Now, your other two ad cards, you have a double backer, great for magic effects, and the other one is made for a specific effect. So on the front, you have a normal Five of Hearts, but on the back, there is no more bubblegum. So if you do a snap change or any type of color change with the gum in the back, you can make it look like you just took the same piece of bubblegum right off. And I'll leave a link to a video on their Instagram that you can check out where they actually performed this. So obviously this is a gorgeous deck, but you want to know a few more things about it. So first, can this deck Pharaoh? From top to bottom is going to be what we do first, and from top to bottom the answer is 100% every other card. Super easy to Pharaoh, no problems there. Now from bottom to top is what we're going to try next, and from bottom to top you see that it actually Pharaoh's easier than from top to bottom. So if you're trying to Pharaoh this deck, it's going to be super easy to Pharaoh. When it comes to fanning this deck, it's going to have a nice fan. Nothing against it. I do like the fact that they have that little extra border, but nothing extra crazy about it. Not really made for tons of cardistry moves. Face is going to be standard. Just a pretty normal fan when it comes to that. So everything's going to look good when it comes to fanning. Now, when it comes to the stock and the finish, there's two ways that I describe it. You have the thickness and how it feels, and then you also have the finish of it. So the finish, of course, done by USPCC, so it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. This deck just glides. It glides. I'm having no issues with the finish, and I'll mess with it for a little while now. No problem with it wearing off or anything. Now when it comes to the stock of this deck is going to be on a premium stock, so it is going to be a little bit thicker. You can actually even like visually see the thickness of it. So it does feel a little bit thicker, but it feels like it's almost crushed. It doesn't have the thickness of being crushed, so I'm not quite sure if it actually is, or it might just be just plain premium, but it's not a stiff premium, which sometimes does happen through USBCC. So I'm glad that it's not. It's super buttery still. So let's get into actually how it feels. So clearly you know how thick it is, but when it feels, there's a few different ways I can describe it. So you have the more thin decks, which would usually be more buttery. So doing moves like Under Pressure are going to be really easy with buttery decks. I do it from this side so you can really see what that looks like. Right? That's Under Pressure. And then when it comes to things like Hot Shot, that's usually a deck you want more snappy. So that's more on the opposite side of the scale. So you have buttery, you have snappy, or I like to say crispy because of course I like bacon. So that's when you want Hot Shot to be able to go really nice and snappy, backdrop, something like that, Flicker Shot. Then you have really stiff decks that are just hard to move, right? So this deck has a good mixture of both buttery and snappy, but I would lean toward snappy for this deck because although it is buttery and the stock is really buttery, it is still pretty stiff. Not stiff, but thick. So it does make it feel like it's going to be a little bit more snappy than it probably actually is. It's probably more on the buttery side if it were a little bit thinner. So if you take a couple of the cards off and you take this away and just have this, I'd say it's buttery. Now, besides that, should you buy this deck, right? There's some decks you should buy, and then, quite honestly, there's some decks you shouldn't. If you like cards that are going to be for Magic, you can definitely use this for Magic. If you're a magician, definitely pick this deck up. It's super fun. The back design is gorgeous. It's not like in a stack. There's a reveal that's just nice. There's a super fun gaff card, which I guarantee you don't have because not many decks have this, right? You don't have bubblegum decks coming out all the time or ever, right? So this is a fun gaff card that you're not going to have as a magician, which is super fun. So you should pick this deck up. Cardistry, I think you can do cardistry with this deck, but it's not a cardistry deck. It's not made for it. So like if I do bullet with this deck, it's going to look fine, but like it's not what it's made for, right? So you can pick it up for cardistry, but I guess that's more on your opinion. Now when it comes to collecting cards, again, this is more on depending on what kind of collector you are. If you're a collector that says, I only have decks that are under 1,000 print run and cost more than $250, this isn't it, right? This isn't it. This deck had a good print run and it's not expensive. It's not a very expensive deck, so you can go down and pick it up and still not have to break your wallet, right? It's gonna be nice. I'm the kind of collector that says, I like cards that look cool, have cool colors, are unique, and can look dope on a shelf like that, and I'm going to use. That's the kind of cards that I like to collect from places like that. And I like to collect things in series. So if I like to collect all of the Cherry Casino playing cards, or all the Orbit playing cards, or all the whatever, I like to collect a series. And since it says on the bottom of the tuck box, Bubblegum Edition, that means they're going to have more cards coming out, right? There's going to be more of these. So if you want to start now, collect this as the first edition so you can be one of the OGs, right? Next is going to be playing card games. Of course, all these cards are standard. It's not marked. Super easy. Go ahead, pick this deck up if you want to play card games with it. Unless your people who you're playing with don't like respecting your cards and bend them and crap, then just play card games by yourself. Then, of course, lastly, is this a hype deck? Heck no. So let me know what you think of this deck down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you once again to Salomanda Playing Cards for sending me this deck and the other one, and I might even do a giveaway at some point with the other one. So make sure to subscribe to the channel in case that other deck gets given away to you. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. This is Card Perfect, signing off.